Welcome to Parks and Recreation Today. I'm Brown Simpson, Parks and Recreation Director for the town of Fort Mill. Today joining me is Kimberly Starnes, Media and Special Events Coordinator for the town of Fort Mill. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thanks, Brown.
Tell us a little bit about your job and what you do on a daily basis.
Well, my job is different every day, but what I do in a nutshell is two things. The first thing I do is the media. And what that means is I write press releases for the town. If there's something going on that the press needs to be informed about, I'm the one who communicates with them. And I just basically keep the media in the loop. I pitch stories to them. So a lot of things you see in the paper are things that I've told them about, and they come and cover it. And then the other part of my job is the very fun part of my job, which is the special events. And that includes everything from our holiday events, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, and then of course the Strawberry Festival, which I'm the director of.
Let's cover a little bit and talk a little bit about the Strawberry Festival.
Sure.
That's a big part of your job.
It's a huge part of my job. You know, I work on that year round. It doesn't end when the festival ends. During the summer, I'm working on forms, the website, a lot of back-end stuff. And then it kicks right back up in August, September when we start contacting our sponsors, getting them on board. We start getting volunteers on board. We start building our committee. And then we start planning what the festival is going to look like for the next year. In fact, this year we've already started working on some of our bands, and this is the earliest we've ever started working on that.
Okay, and do you have a theme yet already for next year?
We do have a theme. We're going to do the Kentucky Derby. It's Run for the Berries. So we're going to have a lot of races and big hats and a lot of fun Kentucky Derby type stuff.
And the dates next year will be?
It'll be May 1st and 2nd, and that's a Friday and a Saturday.
At Walter Elisha Park.
Absolutely, Walter Elisha Park.
Well, the Strawberry Festival has been a successful event, and you've been a big part of it. We appreciate what you do for that. I know we've got some upcoming events coming up within the next couple of weeks. And starting next week with Veterans Day, we're going to have a program at Veterans Park.
Yeah, we do that every year. We do a Veterans Day event. And we've actually changed the event up some this year. We actually have a middle school that's coming to sing. We have Banks Trail Middle School. They're going to come and they're going to do a couple of songs for us for Veterans Day. And then we work with the VFW. They're going to come and they're going to do the rifle volley. They're also going to do the changing of the colors. And then we also are going to have a poem read by Chuck Epps, who's the school district superintendent. So he'll be there and he'll be reading that. So we've changed it a little bit. We don't have a speaker. It's more of a program this year.
Well, I think that's a great idea. And the American Legion are also involved in this program too.
Yes, they are very involved.
Well, the Veterans Park has been a big success and a big part of downtown Fort Mill. And of course, just had an event a couple weeks ago. Remind everybody what that was.
That was the Wall That Heals, and that was the Fort Mill History event. Fort Mill History Museum actually hosted that. And what they did is they brought the traveling Vietnam Wall to Veterans Park. It was here for about 3 days, and it was a 24/7 event. So when you got off work at midnight, if you're a third shift worker, you could actually go and check out the wall and see. It was really nice. They even denoted on the wall where Fort Mill veterans were, and so that was really touching. And then their opening ceremonies was one of the most moving things I've been to in Fort Mill. They had a lot of participation from veterans groups all over the York County area, and they had a lot of really great speakers, and I thought that was a really great program.
I don't think we can ever thank our veterans enough for the sacrifices that they've made for us in this country.
Absolutely.
And of course, the Veterans Day program will be next Tuesday at?
It'll be at 10:45 is what we're looking at starting at.
November 11th at 10:45, okay. And then right after that, Thanksgiving and then the holidays are here. And I know we've got 2 big events that's going to be happening right prior to the holidays.
We do. We have our 2 big Christmas events. The first one will be the tree lighting, where we light the town, and Public Works does an amazing job. They've got a few things in store. I know they've ordered some new lights, and so they're always changing it up and improving that. They've actually started putting up the lights. If you pass by Confederate Park a lot of times in the mornings, you'll see them out there, and they're untangling the lights and they're setting things up. So that's been really interesting to watch. I always enjoy watching them set up the lights. It's always exciting to see what they're going to look like when we light the tree and light the town. And then, of course, we have our local elementary schools. They come and sing for us. So they always put on a really, really great show, and that's Pleasant Knoll, Sugar Creek, and Riverview. And then this year, we're actually going to have somebody read The Night Before Christmas. They're going to read an edited version, but they're still going to read it. And then Santa is actually going to help the mayor count down this year. So we have a lot of fun stuff in store, I think, at the tree lighting. I think people are going to be excited to see it. It's going to be a little different than usual, but again, it's going to be beautiful when the lights go on.
And the date of that will be?
That will be December the 4th, and that's a Thursday night, and that's at 7 p.m.
And we always have a big crowd for that event.
We have a huge crowd for that. Last year the weather was beautiful. It felt more like autumn than it did December, but we still had a really great crowd. I mean, you can look up Main Street and it's packed full of people. Everyone comes out to see the kids.
Well, that is awesome. And 2 days after that, we've got another big event.
That Saturday, which is the 6th, we have the Fort Mill Christmas Parade. And we've actually been doing some interesting things with the Christmas Parade. We've actually got a lot of classic cars now that come in the Christmas Parade. They're typically towards the front, and they have our council members, our grand marshals, dignitaries. And then we have a lot of really interesting floats, really cool stuff. People have been really upping their game. It's been interesting to see what people are doing with their floats. And then, of course, we'll have the bands. I love having the award-winning Fort Mill bands come. Indian Land will be here as well. And then we'll have some of the JROTC come. And then, you know, the Boy Scout, Girl Scout troops. And then just really interesting stuff. You know, people are always trying to do something cool and interesting with their floats.
And we'll have some fire trucks also, too.
Absolutely, we'll have some fire trucks because, you know, next year is the 100th anniversary of the Fort Mill Fire Department. So we're going to have some fire trucks in there, you know, kind of getting people excited for that anniversary next year.
Well, that'll be great. And then, of course, starting 2015, I know we've got some other different events that we're associated with. You want to talk a little bit about those?
Sure. Next year, our first event will be in Martin Luther King Day. And last year, that event was very successful. We raised, I cannot remember exactly how many pounds, but we raised a lot of food for the Fort Mill Care Center. And we had everyone who attended that event bring supplies. And that was a huge success. It was a day of service. We had a dance troupe, we had some singers, we had a really great speaker. He really got everyone excited about serving the community, and I think that carried out throughout the year. So that's really always a good program. And then in March, April, we always have an Easter egg hunt, and we do that in connotation with one of the local churches. And then in May, we have our Strawberry Festival, and we work on that. We want everyone to come out to the Strawberry Festival, of course. And then 4th of July. Firing the cannons. It's always a huge, huge hit. Everyone wants to line up and see the cannons get fired. But people should come and join us inside the church as well. You know, we have always a singer, we have speakers. And last year, the Elks Club did something interesting where they were showing the history of the flag. It was really, really informative, and they had all the different flags, and they showed some stuff I had never heard of before.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, too, to see the history of the American flag, where it started and where it ends. And then also, I think, too, we have an event in late May on Memorial Day also.
We do also have a Memorial Day event. I get so caught up in the Strawberry Festival, that one sometimes slipped by me.
That one slips in on you right at the end. Also, Kimberly, we also work with other groups around town on special events. Talk a little bit about those.
Well, one of the biggest groups that we work with is the Fort Mill History Museum. A lot of what they do, we're involved in. We just like being involved with them. They're a great partner for us. They recently had Art on Main, and that was something that we assisted them with. You know, we closed down the streets for them. We help them with any type of needs. They need sound system and that type of stuff. And then we just kind of help them get food vendors, you know, get all the paperwork together. They're also going to do an event in April, and that's Fort Mill History Day. And what that is it's a reenactment. And what they do is they do Revolutionary War reenactment, World War I, World War II. And they have these people who are in costume. They actually camp at the park, and they do some interesting stuff that relates to the time period that they're reenacting. So it's really good. And last year they brought in the replica of the Hunley, which is the submarine. They're hoping to do that again this year, and I'm hoping they'll bring that in. I think that was something that a lot of people liked. I have to say, though, a lot of people stopped because they thought they were serving barbecue in a big barbecue tank, but it's not. It's the Hunley. But stop in and look at it because they had some great people who were telling about the Hunley as well and the history of that.
Well, I think the Fort Mill History Museum has done a great job promoting some local special events with us.
They have. They really do a nice job. Another group we work with is the NAACP. They actually helped us with last year's Martin Luther King Day event. They helped us get some really great performers, and then they helped us put together the day of service collecting all the food. So working with them was a real pleasure as well.
Well, that's great. And also, too, throughout the year, I know the first 4 months we've got some special events dealing with some different 5Ks and 10Ks, and we'll have those posted on our website also, too.
We do. One thing we want people to start doing is utilizing our website. We now have an events calendar, and any date that has a star on it, there's an event going on. Sometimes it's our event, sometimes it's someone else's event. For example, the Nation Ford High School Drama department is going to be having a holiday bazaar in November. So if you'll go and you'll just click on those stars, you'll actually see what event's going on and who's hosting that event. And we always try to make sure to include the contact information if it's not a town event.
And the new website's web address is?
It's fortmillsc.gov, and it has a lot of information about Parks and Rec and our events.
It is a very nice website. You put a lot of work into it, and I know town council and our town manager, Dennis, people are very appreciative of the work you put into it. So great job.
Well, thank you. I think it's great to have something now that citizens can really utilize. I wanted that to really be a tool, something that people could go on and quickly find what they need rather than hunting for it.
And I think also, too, we're using social media to get the word out about different things. Facebook, Twitter.
Absolutely. We want people to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. It's a really quick way for us to get information out to people, not just about our events, but road closures. A lot of times if the roads are going to be closed or something's happened, if there's a water leak, that kind of stuff, we try to really let people know through our social media. So following us really keeps you in the loop, and that's facebook.com, and just look for Town of Fort Mill, and you can do that on Twitter as well.
Well, Kimberly, we appreciate everything that you've done so far, and thank you for being here with us today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It was great.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after these messages with part 2.
Speaking out against cruelty is not an option for animals. Join the ASPCA and be their voice.
Welcome back to Parks and Recreation Today. I'm Brown Simpson, Parks and Recreation Director, and Kimberly Starnes, Media and Special Events Coordinator, is still with me. Kimberly, when we left our last segment, we were talking about upcoming events with the town of Fort Mill.
Absolutely. Now, we don't just do fun events. We actually have a Parks and Recreation assessment coming up, and that's something that you know a little bit about. You've been instrumental in that. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, town council in the last, I guess it was in the summer, decided they wanted to do a Parks and Recreation needs assessment study. And so we have commissioned Clemson University, Dr. Bob Brookover, and Mr. Glenn Parker will be here December the 8th to the 10th of this year. And one of the things they're going to be doing is they're going to be interviewing different people in focus groups about the future needs of programs and recreation facilities for the town of Fort Mill.
Okay, now that sounds really good. Is that something the public is going to be able to be involved in?
Very definitely they are. One of the biggest things that we're going to need the public's help with is we're going to have a public input session on Tuesday, December the 9th from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Fort Mill High School at 225 Munn Road, and that is going to be in their common/cafeteria area. And everyone is welcome for that. And we're hoping for a big crowd that night.
Excellent. So what are some things you're hoping people will come and bring with them? What types of ideas?
Well, that's the thing we're looking for, is ideas for future programming, also too for future facilities that we're going to need in the future as the town of Fort Mill continues to grow. You know, we've had rapid growth over the last 15 years, and the projections that we're seeing is we're going to have very rapid growth in the next 15 years. So we want to be prepared for that. And you know, one thing we're going to be looking at too is recently the new Waterside subdivision that's down off White's Road, the developer donated 28 acres to the town, and one of the things we're going to be looking at is how we can develop that piece of property for recreational and program needs.
I think that's really going to be great. There's a lot of opportunity there. It's right on the river, if I recall correctly. And I think there's a lot of good opportunity there to have something unique that the public will really enjoy. And there's going to be some commercial development there as well. So I think that'll be a nice area that people will start to enjoy. Now, when the assessment's over, what is the end result that we're hoping to get?
Well, the end result is we're trying to find out what the public actually wants in future recreation programs/facilities. And so it's very important. You know, when you think a lot about traditional recreation programs, you think a lot about athletics, youth sports. And we do a great job with that. But, you know, there's also been some new, when I think about new programs, We want to make sure that we cover the lacrosse need. We want to make sure that we cover the aquatics need. We want to make sure that we cover the runner who runs or the walk and with trails and things like that. So it's a lot to it. Future parks and facilities. We stand to lose some future facilities that we're leasing right now. So that's one of the things the town's looking at. What's it going to cost, what the needs are, and how the public can play a big role in that.
I think it's good to give the public an opportunity to really speak on it. Like you said, there are some needs that maybe now could be better covered. The lacrosse. There's a lot of interesting sports that are starting to gain a lot of momentum besides the usual baseball, softball, soccer facilities and that type of thing. So I think it'll be good to get the public involved. Now, are there also going to be focus groups involved besides the public input meeting?
Yeah, there's going to be, I think, 6 to 7 different focus groups. Those invitations have been sent out to different folks that are involved in recreation, youth sports coaches, participants, in aquatics, different other things. So we've already sent those out. But if anybody's interested in participating in the focus groups, they can always contact me here at the office, 547-2273, or they can email me at bsimpson@fortmillsc.gov.
Okay, well that's great. Is there anything else the public needs to know about those meetings?
Well, just that their input is so important. And that's why we're hoping for a big crowd on Tuesday night, December the 9th, from 5:30 to 7 at the Fort Mill High School in the common/cafeteria area. We're really hoping for a big turnout on that. We really want their input. And if people have questions, they can contact me here at my office.
Okay, and we'll put some information online about that as well, so people can look it up and then maybe share it with their friends as well. We'll also use social media to try to get the word out about that. So is there anything else about Parks and Rec that people need to know? I know we've got a lot of programs coming up with Parks and Rec. We typically have some winter sports programs. What have we got coming up in the winter?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to start actually our spring sports registrations earlier this year. We will start those December the 1st, and those will run through February the 6th. So December the 1st of 2014 through February the 6th of 2015. We're actually extending that, starting that a little bit earlier, trying to get a jump start on our spring sports. We're into winter sports right now, and just, a lot of good things are happening. A lot of good things are happening in our parks. We have park rentals every weekend. The Spratt Building's available, so there's a lot of great things happening, and we're just really looking toward the future of our Parks and Recreation Department here with the town of Fort Mill. Yeah,
and we have some beautiful parks. People should really get out and enjoy them. And I know the programs you have going on, you've got some really great guys. You got Jason and Justin, and they do a lot of really good stuff with the soccer and the softball and tag football and flag football. They do so much, it's hard to keep up with it. And a lot of those programs, again, the information's online at Parks and Recreation at the Fort Mill website.
It is, and just let me also emphasize too that Jason and Justin, Lee and Paul and Robert, they're our staff members, and we have some part-time folks that work for us too. But really the lifeblood of a great program is the volunteers that we have too. And we've got some excellent volunteers that put in a lot of time with our programs and everything, and we're very appreciative of what the folks do for us here with Parks and Recreation Department at Fort Mill.
Oh, absolutely. Volunteers make such a difference in this town with all of our events in the Parks and Recreation. We couldn't do a lot of what we do without them.
Amen.
Well, excellent. Would you want to give them that phone number one more time if they're interested about participating in a focus group or, the public input meeting?
I sure will. It's 803-547-2273. That's our office here at the Bank Street Gym. And also they can contact me at bsimpson@fortmillsc.gov.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Brown, for telling us a little bit about that and getting the public involved. I think having the public involved really does help them feel like they're part of the parks when they're built.
Well, it's part of the process, and we want that, definitely.
Yes. Thanks so much for joining us here at Parks and Recreation today. We'll see you next time.